Hello and welcome back to World Talks here on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Well, the war in Gaza continues. The destruction of Hamas facilities is ongoing, and lots of tunnels and arms caches have been found by the IDF. In addition, there is a civilian tragedy in the making as well, and many opinions exist on how to deal with that. But what happens after the war ends? How does Israel ensure its security, and can it rely on international partners to keep Israel safe? Well, to discuss that, I'm joined by Tal Heinrich. She's an Israeli government spokesperson. Tal, welcome to TVP World. Yeah, you're very welcome. And thanks for taking the time. So let's start with laying out the general situation on the ground in Gaza. How would you characterize the latest in the war?
So, as you know, for 7 days, we have seen Hamas releasing some of the hostages. And then on the 8th day of the outline, they failed to release another group. They failed to back up another list. And so we said that the moment Hamas would stop releasing more hostages, that's the moment when the fighting will resume. And that's what happened. And not only that Hamas has done that, they also started firing rockets at our territory before the deadline. So right now, I can tell you that our forces are operating still in the north to secure the Hamas strongholds that we already eliminated. We want to make sure that this territory is not going to go back and retain the capabilities that it had 60 days ago. And we're also operating in the south. Our forces are encircling the area of Khan Yunis right now. We know that in this territory, there are Hamas commanders and a lot of terror infrastructure that we have not yet eliminated. As of Sunday, I can tell you that we discovered about 800 tunnel shafts. We destroyed about 500, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And also, we want to continue to put the pressure on Hamas to bring to the release of all hostages. We know that the only thing that the terrorists understand is pressure. We wouldn't have seen the release of hostages if it wasn't for a military pressure. So we continue to work towards the completion of the two goals that we have set, which is to bring back the hostages home and to eliminate the terrorist regime.
Absolutely. I mean, Israel has made it very clear right from the start what this whole operation was about, and it is living up to that. Now, the unfortunate thing, of course, as always in conflict, is the plight of civilians. What is being done to mitigate the difficulties that the civilians in Gaza are currently facing?
I appreciate the way you phrased your question. You said, as always in conflict, and I'm afraid that some people tend to forget that even the most justified wars in history had civilian casualties. It's not something that Israel wanted. It's not even a war that we started, as you know. We were dragged into it by Hamas. And the fact of the matter is that all of the civilian suffering, all of civilian casualties on the Israeli and the Palestinian side would not have happened if it wasn't for Hamas's atrocities on October 7th. And, just right now, as we are speaking, I can also update you that more than 12,000 rockets overall over the span of 8 weeks have been raining Israeli communities. My hometown, Tel Aviv, there was a direct hit at a classroom there just moments ago. Israelis need to run to shelters a few times a day. So this is a situation that obviously we cannot sustain. We will not live with this reality. Now, as we operate to eliminate the terrorist rule of Hamas in Gaza, we don't want to see Palestinian civilians getting caught in the crossfire. Our fight is not with them. Our fight is with the terrorists. For that end, we are doing everything humanly possible to safeguard the civilian population of Gaza for 2 months now, I guess, we have called on the residents of northern Gaza to evacuate to the south. And as we are operating in the south, we also put forward the IDF a very detailed map of zones in the resolution of neighborhoods or parts of neighborhoods that are numbered. And every time when we operate, we tell the population of Gaza exactly where we need them to evacuate. And we allow humanitarian aid. There's no restriction on such aid right now. I've seen the line of trucks getting ready in the Rafah border crossing nearby, between Egypt and Gaza to enter with loads of humanitarian aid. So we are, again, doing everything we can to ease the civilian suffering in Gaza, whereas Hamas doing exactly the opposite. They want the civilian casualties. They want the civilian suffering. They say openly that they want to sacrifice the Palestinians of Gaza for their goal of obliterating the state of Israel.
Yes, yes. Well, again, their modus operandi is not new. Their goals are not new. They're clearly stated by them. But despite all of the efforts of the IDF, Tal, are you finding that international pressure is becoming greater on Israel to do even more?
Well, there's no secret that there is international pressure, but all these calls for a ceasefire, I think they tend to forget, or they overlook a few aspects. There could be a permanent ceasefire tomorrow morning if Hamas had agreed to surrender and release all hostages, lay down their weapons, and stop educating generations after generations for the hatred of the Jewish people, and with the goal in mind to destroy the state of Israel. That there will be no Jews between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, again, this is a sick ideology. We will deal with it. We are dealing with the terror infrastructure right now. And we will also deal with the pressure because, you see, we're not fighting this war to get likes on social media or to get more handshakes at the United Nations corridors. This is not how it works. This is a matter of life and death to Israelis.
Right.
The Hamas terrorists, they say they would perpetrate the October massacre again and again and again.
Well, so they've said. Now, just in the last minute or so that we have left, Tal, how is the Israeli population responding to this war? And how would you characterize Prime Minister Netanyahu's position in the Israeli political scene?
So, as you know, Israel is a very vibrant democracy. It's true that we have many opinions, and our politics is something that had received world coverage even in the months that preceded the war. But right now, nobody's dealing with politics because when Hamas terrorists crossed the border with Gaza and targeted us, they didn't care who we voted for, right? So we are not dealing with politics right now, and we have a unity government in place, which is really reflective of the public sentiment in the country. Everyone is so united, and I can tell you that every single person, not only in government and in the private sector, everyone is mobilizing and doing their part of the national effort because they feel this commitment and this urgency to act to the extent that they can. Everyone is part of it. Everyone knows somebody who's fighting in the front lines. Everyone knows someone who was injured, somebody who was killed, somebody who was hostage. It's a small country. Right now, we're functioning as a family.
Right. Well, thank you for that, Tal. And thank you for taking your time to join us and share your insights with our audience. Have a good evening and come and see us again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And that's all from us on this bulletin of World Talks. Goodbye.